Pastor Ariyo Popoola, the National Chairman for Prison and Hospital Ministry of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. It's two. I'll answer the first one two ways. In Nigeria, the law can say you did this, but in real life, you may be innocent. So, I didn't commit the offense that I was arrested and prosecuted for. What really happened was that before 1995, I used to attend the white garment church called Celestial Church of Christ. And in the church, the head of the place, as the prophet, the man brought the children and said the children were witches, and from that place, they have their own way of deliverance, and that causes bodily harm to those children. And those children were pushed out, and they were seen by the popular NTA Newsline crew then. And so those children were seen, and they were spoken to, and it was carried on Newsline, the NTA Newsline, and that attracts public outcry. And so the head of the place was arrested. Under normal circumstances, after arresting the woman, they said they should go and arrest all the elders of the church. And meanwhile, I worked with Nigerian Air Force as a P officer. And so they came arresting elders of the church. I said, well, I'm not on the payroll of the church. I just attend the church. Although I'm part of the elders of the church, but I just attend the church. So others fled. I'm a typical Lagos boy. I don't fear anything, and I work with military. So from one of the days, as I was coming out from my office in Air Force Base in PWD, I was accosted with gun by the police. And that was how I was taken to Banti. And they asked me questions. I said, I don't know anything about it. Well, when something had attracted public attention, they'll just mold everybody up. So that was how I was arrested, taken to Banti. The next day, I was taken to the court. And the second day, I find myself in Ikoyi prison. So that was how I got into prison. I'd like to explain some things before we proceed. The place I was locked up when I was taken to prison, the cell I was taken to was supposed to take 35 people. But I want to tell you that I was the 152nd person that was pushed into that cell. And when I was pushed into that cell, there is no place you will sleep. You sleep by your side. The two legs of the person that is opposite you will be at your mouth. And your own legs too will be at the mouth, because there was no luxury of place. So we have to take our freedom as, it's not a luxury, it's very important. We have to protect our freedom. And that was the condition I was for 22 months. Going to court before I was eventually transferred to another prison, which is in maximum security prison. It's a bad experience, but as soon as I got into the place, because I know people, I had to write to people like Ganifa Emi, Femi Falana, and so many people. I said, look, what are you doing as human rights outside? And so they started coming, and within the 22 months I stayed there, by bringing in those lawyers, we were able to release close to 30 people before, even though I was having my own case, I was able to bring to the attention of the lawyers, and about 30 people were released before I was moved to maximum security prison, when I was eventually convicted for 10 years. So I stayed in prison for 10 years. One of the first things, the first challenge I have, apart from the sleeping pattern, is that I love dogs, but the condition of prison, my dog cannot stay there. No food, no hygiene, because there's no way you can have hygiene where you're supposed to keep 35 people and you have over about 200 people in a place. So you find that that's when I know that people smell, no matter how fragrance you use, people smell. So the condition, you can't sleep well, you can't live well. And that then, we sleep here, and you're just looking at the toilet is opposite you, and where the toilet is opposite you, it's a bucket. And in prison there's no secret. So you can be here, you'll be here, and you'll be seeing somebody that is pooing. Because there's no secret. So you just come, you see the paper. So for 2 weeks, I was just throwing up. Because you sit down, you see somebody who's pooing, you see everything. So that condition is a challenge. Another condition is the way you go to court. Now, each time I am going to court, we were taken into court in Black Maria. Now, the Black Maria, under normal circumstances, can take like maybe 60 people. But when we are going to court, 250 of us can be pushed into the Black Maria. And let me tell you, when they load us like fish. And so when they load us, the driver will go in. We're taken to court by police then. The driver will go in, move the truck forward, press the brake, and push us in the front. They open again and reload us as if we're stockfish. Now, we don't wear clothes to court. You know the reason? Because if you wear your clothes to court, over a bucket of water will come out of you. So for you to be able to at least be clean when you get out from Black Maria, so you are in just your boxers. So when you are getting close to court, you clean yourself, you now wear, or when you are pushed into the court cell, you now wear your clothes so that you can appear neat in court. That's another challenge. The third challenge is food. No food. No food. When I was in prison, far better, the Redeemed Christian Church of God has done a lot. When I was there was no water. No water. The wells during dry season get dried. And so the inmates will go and fetch water. Everything is regulated. When you are in the cell, they regulate how many cups of water you drink. You don't have the luxury of water. You don't have the luxury of food. You don't have the luxury of air. So those are challenges. Then another challenge is the workshop. Most of the equipments, they are obsolete. So you can't train. So prison is not a real reformation place, but it's a place that, the way you come in is the way you can go out. The only aspect that helps is allowing the churches and NGOs to come. Without the church, and which is principled by the Redeemed Christian Church of God, people will be dying like anything. So several, but let me just stay there. For me, the correctional facility does not change me. It just gave me a sleep and a wake-up environment, and that's all. But Christ changed me. Christ changed me. I gave my life to Christ in prison. October 5, 1995, I gave my life to Christ in prison. And since I gave my life to Christ in prison, I began to understand certain things. Because you have the luxury of time, so I read the Bible from front to the back so many times, I've forgotten how many times. Because I have the luxury of time. And, we have the opportunity to do correspondence, Bible college. I had a doctorate degree in divinity when I was in prison. I did the Bible college. It's a U.S. university. I did it till have a doctor of divinity in Bible studies. So, and I also start an adult literacy class as my own contributory things. So I get people I teach them from ABC, and it has led to establishing schools in Kirikiri prison where I spent my time, because immediately I was released, I went back again. So we were able to do that, and we were also able to, I grew up spiritually, and I became the pastor of the church in Kirikiri, where I pastored over 1,200 inmates, men. And I wish that you come to see a fellowship one day. If we clap from this place, no instrument, then if we clap from this place, they will hear at Mowe bus stop. That's our instrument. So Jesus reformed, transformed, and changed me. And I decided to submit and surrender. Now, before I gave my life to Christ, I gave my life to Christ 3 times. You know, when we got into prison, when you are in challenges, you know, a lot of people will go, and, you know, few of my families, my parents, but most especially my wife stood with me for that 10 years. She was coming, she was bringing food, she was bringing drugs for me for that 10 years. So when each time they go to court, maybe to ask for bail for me, and the minister will come and said, I'm presenting to you Jesus. He will set you free. He will deliver you. So, I said, freedom? I'll go and give my life to Jesus. Then they will come and tell me that they declined your bail. I'll withdraw my life away from Jesus again. I will sit down. So the second time, he will deliver you, you know. And I look at the ginger of the pastor. I'll give my life to Christ again. When good news did not come, I'll retrieve it back. But on this day, a man came, and by the time the man finished ministry, it's like he was telling my life story. He was telling my life story. And I see a new ingredient completely. That look, it's not about you bargaining with God. It's about you surrendering your life to Jesus. And it's not about you asking, what do you want to do with my life? He knows what he's going to do with your life. Surrender it. And that day, I walked, October 5, 1995, I walked to the altar and surrendered. And like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego said, look, if you are going to deliver me, deliver me. If you are not, I surrender it. And since then, my perspective of salvation changed completely. And God has not failed me. The first major thing I learned is that the best investment is giving. You know, I was there. The people that are my friend today are the people and pastors I knew when I was in prison. They never knew me in my life. I just wondered how people struggle to visit us, of all the obstacles, the protocols, just to see us. And I imagined, why are these people struggling? You know, you see people that you know that this person does not have much, but they come visiting us. Even some of us dress more than them. I said, how can somebody do this kind of sacrifice? I am not their brother. I am not their uncle. I am not their friend. And they will come with so much passion. I learned that. That is the first thing I learned. Giving is in an investment. Number 2, I learned that your life is in the hand of God. Your life is in the hand of God. Because let me tell you the truth. If I don't go to prison, I will not be doing what I'm doing today. I will not. So I take it as a school. I can talk to any criminal, and they will tell me the truth. I can know their problem because I've gone through. I can identify where they are. I can identify whether they can change or not. You know, not everybody can change you. I must tell you the truth. I've been in the ministry for 17 years. Nobody, you don't take people and say they must change if Jesus did not change them. So I learned that to be able to follow people, to commit them into the hand of God. I learned that. I also learned that whatever God wants to do with your life, He can. And if you allow Him, He'll bring the best out of your life. And finally, if you surrender your life to Jesus, no matter the ditch you go to, by the time He brings you out, it will amaze you. Because the day I was to come out, I don't know how the churches that comes to visit us had. It's like the entourage that came to welcome me out without telling them. I have a long queue of cars and buses that moves from, that is up to, like, let me say, from the main gate of the Redeemed Christian Church of God to Mowe. Came in convoy. They brought me new sets of shoes, new sets of... I came out with a 1,500 pound shirt from people I don't know. I was kitted when I was coming out. People brought food, there was NTA, there was newspaper headlines. They said they want to celebrate man of God. God shocked me with that, such a welcome party. And the party was held for me. That's why I'm in Redeemed Christian Church of God today. Because the pastor that led my parish that I'm in today is supposed to travel out. And because I'm coming out that day, he shelved it and came to welcome me. It beat my imagination, it beat my sense, and I decided that, look, I'm going to worship in the Redeemed Christian Church of God. I'm going to worship in this parish, and I've not regretted, because it has been a wonderful experience in Redeemed Christian Church of God.
To my last question,
yeah.
I'd like to ask for, do you have any advice to people that are taking the crime pathway?
Well, there's nothing on the fast lane. The Bible says there's a way that seemeth right unto a man. The ends thereof leads to destruction. While I was in prison, I've witnessed people being executed in front of Kirikiri Maximum. There's a range there where they kill people. I've experienced that. That was 1998. I was there. 8 of them were killed. We're hearing, these are people we slept together, woke up together, and they were led to the stake and they were shot. There's nothing in crime. There are people serving life imprisonment. There are people on death row. There are people serving 96. There are people serving 66 years. There's nothing in crime. It's death. It's destruction. But when you stay out of crime, you will enjoy the better part of life. Let me tell you, since I came out of prison, it's 17 years this year that I left. I've not worked for anybody. I surrender my life to this ministry. I've worked with Amnesty International. I had 2 NGOs. I had Lightgate, I have Philemon. These are principal. The one is for the area boys, indigent people, the Lightgate and prison. We have Lightgate where we give scholarship to indigent students and assist them and minister in secondary schools and tertiary institutions. And for that 17 years, these are programs that takes a lot of money. I have not begged for that for 14 years. I've sent my children. The list of my children is a master degree holder. My 2 girls are married. One is in UK. God has built a house for me. I have not done crime. I have not signed a pay packet with anybody. God has provided. Last year, 3 people gave me 3 cars when I don't have a car. When you put our trust in God, it's because we are not serious, or it's because we felt there is a human way of making it. When you surrender your life to Jesus and you walk in His ways, at His appropriate time, we don't want to wait for God's time. At His appropriate time, He will give you everything.